Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 546, first week of August 2025, and it's hot out.
I'm always cold, so I've got my jacket.
Well, that's because, this time of year, everybody's got their air conditioner cranking, so it ends up being either hot or cold. A lot of interesting things came out this week, Tracy. There's two stories that were national stories. I call them stories or rankings or surveys related to Albuquerque and real estate. I'm going to talk about those. We wanted to cover, I found like these three different surveys that asked buyers, what are your top regrets? And so
top regrets, and that's of people who bought homes in the last 2 years.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that and options of what you can do about that.
Yeah. And then I've got a little bit of market data. It's the first week of the month. So I've got a couple takeaways from the July data. I had to think about what month we were in. Yeah, the July data. One thing I posted on my Facebook just talking about how we've got these two different indicators and they're kind of contradictory at first glance. And so I want to go through that and where we are in our real estate cycle here in Albuquerque.
Sounds good. We have a couple of homes to feature, and Tego, you've had your feet in the trenches working with home buyers and home sellers, and you have two more properties you're representing right now.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that.
Yep, for sure. So Tracy, what do you want to lead off with? I'm
excited about the houses that are for sale.
Let's do that.
Yeah, great. So new on the market this week. When people think of Corrales, Tego, we have the rural, larger properties. Kind of typically people think of an acre and horses and the Texas Longhorns you see as you drive down Corrales Road. Well, what a lot of people don't know is there's a really nice townhome neighborhood in Corrales. It goes up the side of the hill, so a lot of views, and it's called Pueblo Los Cerros Townhomes. But we just listed one at 5 San Juan Trail in Corrales, and it is just a charming, wonderful townhome. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. This community has its own clubhouse, swimming pool, and tennis courts that are also painted for pickleball. I don't think you knew that.
Oh, well, that's new. That didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, I know. And I was touring this home with the sellers going, pickleball, maybe Tego and I are ready to downsize.
I guess the last time I was in that neighborhood, though, was probably 10 years ago. So, yeah, that doesn't mean that's new.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just about 1,400 square feet. It's very upgraded, just really great home. If you're interested, get online and check it out. 5 San Juan Trail, we'd be happy to show it to you. It will be open this weekend, so check out our open houses site to find out what time. I know it'll be on Sunday. I'm not sure about Saturday, but just a really sweet property for $425,000.
Awesome.
Tell us about the Fourplex, Tego, that you represent.
Yeah, we have a Fourplex that's in the Comanche.
It's between Comanche and Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And it's a Fourplex, so it's an investment property. And the kind of the big opportunity is for somebody that's interested in doing the house hacking thing, which we've talked about many times.
Yeah, house hacking. So you live in one, you rent the other 3 out, and the other 3 should cover the full mortgage so that you're living with somebody else paying for your room, right? Your space.
I was chatting with one of the mortgage lenders that we know here in town, very wise on the mortgage industry and everything going on. And she was mentioning that there's a really great program for 5% down that somebody could use to if they live in one of those units, you got to be owner occupied, get into an investment property for 5% down.
So that complex, I haven't been inside one, but I've seen it from the outside. It's nice. It looks newer.
Yeah, it's newer.
Not that old.
94 it was built. And
for somebody looking, it's $600,000 and it's 4 units that you could rent out. So a really great opportunity.
And for the investment nerds, it's a 6 cap based on the pro forma. It's about a 10 gross rent multiplier. The NOI is about $36,000, $37,000 a year. So
Tego,
language.
Yeah, all that stuff. I go, oh boy, okay, I'm glad I have you in my life.
People that know what all
I
those
know.
things mean. Yes.
I know what they are because you
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
yeah, it's big time stuff. So you also have another property you represent in kind of our old stomping ground. When we
Yeah.
first met, we lived on Los Arboles
We
in the
did.
near North Valley.
Yep.
So you've got one at 615 Los Arboles Northwest.
Yeah, and Sam, pull up the screen here. I've got it pulled up here. This should be live by the time you're hearing this. When we're recording this Wednesday afternoon, we were just finishing up the photos, the professional photos, to get it ready. The thing that's really unique about this property is it's located in the North Valley, not too far from 4th Street, just north of Manal, kind of in that general vicinity, the major crossroads. But it's a half-acre lot. That's the main unique thing here.
It's a half acre and it backs to an irrigation ditch kind of area.
Well, it's the irrigation ditch, but it's the Albuquerque Drain Trail. So it's one of the paved bike paths.
Wow,
that
goes right behind
basically,
it.
yeah, that it goes east-west through that section, but then goes north all the way up to Alameda along 2nd Street. So that path that basically ties 2nd Street all the way down to the Bosque Trail. So it basically backs up, well, it does, it backs up to that.
Nice.
The unique thing about this with the half acre is it potentially could be subdivided.
So you told me that the seller had already done the research and did a summary drawing or whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't finalize it,
Correct.
but somebody could take that and kind of finish the work if they wanted to subdivide it and have a lot that they could sell or build on. But it's in Albuquerque. It could have an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit.
It could. The only thing with the ADU, you're limited to 750 square feet. But
So
yeah,
it's more of a guest house.
Yeah, be more of a guest house. There's definitely room to do that there, but again, it's a larger lot. The home itself is kind of set to one side, so there is plenty of room to do something else or expand the existing home.
So it's 365,000.
Yep.
It's interesting when you say, it's kind of small. I was thinking about when you go through IKEA and they show you like a sample house that's 365 square
Yeah,
feet or
yeah.
something, and they've got everything, it's like, wow. Okay,
Well,
so that's, 750-ish, isn't that bad?
I mean, the thing is, you can build a full additional residence is what I'm getting at.
If you subdivide
if
it.
you can get it subdivided and
Right.
go through all the work to do that, which again, that's, on the buyer to do that and figure that out. But anyway, if you're interested in that, give us a call. And any property questions that come up in the Albuquerque area, you can always reach out to us. We have our team line at 505-448-8888.
Okay, let's go to the top regrets of home buyers in 2025. And this is of home buyers who have purchased in the past 2 years. There was a study done, right?
Yeah, and actually what I did is I took, there's like 3 different studies. One of them was bank rate, one of them was this insurance company, another one was real estate brokerage. And I just kind of consolidated, what they found. And what they found across the board was pretty much the same results. And, the percentages vary a little bit, but
So-
what they're wanting to know is like, okay, you're first time home buyer. What are the things that you regret or like you wish you would have known before you purchased?
And see, since I didn't say it, you just did. This was especially regrets of first-time home buyers who have already purchased, right?
Correct.
So one of them was underestimating repair and maintenance costs. That's the most common regret. Not like forecasting that things might break or that you need to upgrade or what your utilities might be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this was more around repairs, but yeah, basically just the cost of
Maintenance.
ownership, maintenance and stuff. Like if you've always been a renter, you're just used to the landlord taking care of things.
Right.
The biggest thing that was, since that was one of the thing, again, underestimating repair costs, the number one thing that came up was cosmetic repairs. Not necessarily, the air conditioner
Right,
breaking.
not a
right?
major one.
Yeah.
So another one, very high on the list, right, was not getting the right size home, not buying the right size home, either buying too small or too big.
Yeah.
Right. I can imagine a lot of it is too small for a first-time home buyer. Somebody with maybe their first 2 or 3 kids, and the entry-level home just doesn't have the space or that second living area that they can get away to, or one living area that all the kids' toys can be in, or
Well, let me put a side note on this. This is maybe not so much a first-time home buyer, but yard maintenance, landscaping maintenance.
Right.
That's something that maybe people don't kind of recognize is going to be needed depending on what type of landscaping the property has. Yeah.
totally. Another regret, feeling rushed or pressured to decide too quickly on which house to choose, right? Those who felt pressured are much more likely to experience buyer's remorse.
Well, and there's multiple reasons you could feel rushed. One, it could be that interest rates, the time is ticking. Let's say interest rates, well, actually, that's a side note. This week, interest rates have dropped.
Right.
Interest rates have dropped. Oh, I better find something because I need to get that locked in that low interest rate. So they feel rushed to find a property. Or we've seen this many times. Somebody's first, ready to go out and start looking at homes. First weekend, and they're out and they see the perfect house. And they're like, I got to get it. I got to get it. I got to get it. And it may be the right decision.
It probably is the right decision, but they might feel like they should have looked at more houses first. So possibly.
Yeah, I think the rushing part is take your time, look online and do all that stuff before you actually start looking at homes so you really know what the options are.
Sometimes the rushing part of getting your house under contract has to do with the deadline of when you have to be moved.
Oh,
You might be under a year lease,
of
right?
Of course.
And your lease is coming up and you know that you need to get a house under contract or you have to sign for another year.
Yeah, and we've seen that over the years where somebody reaches out to us, it's 2 months before lease end, and you're like, it's cutting it kind of close.
We can do it.
We can do it, but
Yeah.
you probably need to be thinking about it more 4-6 months out. When I say 6 months, I'm talking about getting on the website,
Getting with your realtor,
Wait.
learning about the market, learning how to be a great buyer so that when it happens, you've got a great foundation. Because just getting on the website and searching homes is not a great place to start, Tego.
Yeah,
what? It's not.
I accept your correction.
A lot of times,
no,
thank you.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
A lot of
right.
times, people are searching in a price range because that's what they think they want. And when we really get, I think of it as the trifecta, right? It's us, their lender, and them. And we put that team together. So we have the team approach and the lenders doing their part to make sure that they're getting the best loan type for them and give them the good information so they know what their monthly outflow is going to be in total. Because a lot of times buyers tell us a price way under what they can actually afford or monthly comfort payment, and then they take too long to get to the right price. They start looking at houses and they go, oh, wow, this is all I can get. And they waste time before we get to the right price.
Yeah, that's all really, really good advice.
But I want you to say one more time that I was right.
You were right and I was wrong.
Okay. Just like to get it on the record
mark
again.
that down, Sam, that it happened on this day
Okay, moving
of
on.
August 2025. Okay, financial regrets. And I thought this was interesting because one of them was too high of an interest rate.
That they locked in.
Yeah, and I think some of that may be that, now we've been in the 6.5% 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate range now for a couple of years, really, kind of
Well,
in that
it's been
range.
higher than that.
It's been higher, but let's just say in that range. And then people are comparing to what was going on in 2022 or 2021, where you could get a 3%,
Right.
interest rate. So yeah, you're going to have regrets, but it is what it is right now.
And historically, we're still at really good interest rates.
Yeah.
Be thankful you're not at 12 or 18%, but you're right, Tego. And, even if you're locked in at 7.5% right now on a house you bought 2 years ago, you can refinance it. And I think we will be seeing some refinances. We had some people buy houses at 8% or higher. And, if that's you, call us. We'll tell you a great way to get a refinance and lower your monthly payment.
And the other part was, again, financial regrets was just overpaying or buying too much house and basically being house poor, as they say, where you've got just too much of your income dedicated to your mortgage payment.
Okay, so my story on that, Tego, when our son and daughter-in-law in the Phoenix area were buying a house, we thought they were going to buy in like the 350 to 425, 400. And they'd call and they'd send us a picture and say, we saw this house today, we're going to write an offer, and it was 425. It was in the Islands in Gilbert. And we were like, oh, 425. They're only like 2 years, 1 year out of college or something, right? Obviously our son was doing well in his job, but we were freaking out, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying to myself, okay, we tell buyers a lot of times, stretch yourself right now because you're at the beginning of your earning capacity, right? Your wages are going to go up, but your house mortgage is going to stay the same. So it's okay to stretch yourself. Well, they ended up buying a house that was $500,000. We were like, oh my gosh, we were losing our minds, even though we didn't say anything out loud to them. Right?
Kind of. So, in
We
so
were
many
like-
words we did, yeah.
But looking back, their house they bought at the early days of COVID when they couldn't go in, you had to wear masks and gloves, and the realtor was in a different car, and you kind of got to look in the windows, I think, right? And it was a tough time to be a buyer, but they locked in a good rate. They stretched themselves, but it has worked out well.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work out well. And I
No.
think that's where getting a trusted realtor, a trusted mortgage person to really look at that and help you make those decisions. I mean, that's the job of the realtor and the mortgage person, is not just to sell you a house and not just to sell you a mortgage. Find the right thing that fits for you and your lifestyle, and so you're not stretching yourself. But sometimes stretching yourself makes sense if
Right.
you know that your income's going to be going up. You don't want to buy a starter home and then just have to move a year or 2 years later because you need more house.
True, although for us, our thing is consider that your first rental and go buy the right house,
there's
so
that's not a possibility for everybody.
for a lot
though,
of people.
for sure. Yeah.
So another thing, Tego, compromising on the home's condition features such as accepting some deferred maintenance, some structural issues, or skipping inspections or something, and then regretting it later that you didn't do more due diligence, and you kind of end up with, this is very dating for me, but it dates me. I mean, like a house is a lemon, right? I don't think people talk about cars like they're lemons anymore. Cars must not be lemons anymore.
Yeah, it's not as
Not
yeah,
a thing.
anyway,
It's
not as
old
much.
school.
I mean, lemon laws still exist, but that's
Yeah.
that-
Anyway, just buying a house that isn't in as good a repair as you needed could be a regret.
okay. And then the other one was wrong location. Maybe they didn't do enough legwork, groundwork. Like you always advise people, go in the morning, go in the evening, go on the weekend, go on
Go
a
for a
weekday,
walk.
go for a walk.
Go to the grocery store you would go to and make sure you feel comfortable. Listen for sound pollution, light pollution. Go for a walk, make sure you're comfortable. But sometimes people buy where they can afford, and it's maybe a long commute to work, and they think, that's okay, I've got a great house. And then later they regret that commute has gotten burdensome.
Yeah. And then the last thing is really their stress. I don't know if that was really a regret. It's just recognizing it's going to happen, right?
From the
It's
process.
From the process,
Yeah.
but there's other emotions too. There's excitement, there's pride
Yeah.
in buying your first home. All of those things happen. So, I think part of that is just be prepared for that. It's going to happen.
So Tego, is it just Gen Z millennials that have these regrets, or is it everybody?
It's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's universal, right?
I just wanted
Right.
to make sure you knew that. It wasn't just first timers and it wasn't just young people.
So anyway, there was our top regrets of home buyers and some tips along the way there that you can do to help alleviate that. And of course, we're here to help so that you don't have as many regrets in the end. People are always going to have regrets, no matter what, right? I mean, every time we put money into something, we're always going to have some buyer's remorse to a certain extent. So
Maybe. I closed with some folks this week on a house that is just great house. There's just no way they're going to have a regret about that property.
I like your optimism there.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I'm thinking like more human nature, right? I think it's,
Yeah.
to a certain extent, it's just human nature.
I think that's, me when I buy a pair of shoes, I have buyer's remorse or whatever, and then I get used to it.
So Tracy, there were two, changing
You
subject.
completely
I know,
ignored
I know.
my shopping story.
I did.
I don't like to shop, for all you listening. I
you
do
really
not
don't.
like to shop. I like the grocery store, but don't take me to a mall.
So it's funny, I just pulled up this Newsweek story and it says, map shows most desirable major U.S. cities for home ownership. And the top was an ad for floor mats for vehicles because I was just shopping for some yesterday for your car.
You're so kind.
Isn't that typical?
Yeah.
So anyway, there was two stories this week. One of them's Newsweek, one of them was Zillow, where they do these rankings about, in both cases related to housing. So Newsweek did this story, Tracy, and you dug into it. And what they said, these were the top 10 most desirable major U.S. cities for home ownership.
And Albuquerque was number 7.
Albuquerque was on the list.
And this is based on a ranking of 40 major U.S. cities according to a range of criteria, including average home price, size, availability, and online interest as measured through Google search volume, which is interesting. So like the number 1 city, actually they talk about the number 2 city, but the number 2 city, let me find number 1. Washington, D.C. was number 1 with 461 online searches per home. And Albuquerque's at 107 searches per home. So that means in other states, people aren't looking at homes as often. But think about some of the homes, if the average is 107, that means some of them are really high, some of them are really low. But
Interesting. And of the 10, 5 of them are California: Sacramento, San Jose, Fresno, LA, and San Diego. And we've got Albuquerque in the southwest. We've got St. Louis, Kansas City. Sorry, the other one. Louisville, DC, like you said, and then Boston in the northeast. So interesting. Again, it's one of those things. Sometimes you got to take these kind of survey ranking things a little bit that, these entities are making news, but it is interesting that we're in that game.
yeah, it is interesting.
The other story that hit this week, in fact, the Albuquerque Journal is doing a story on this because I interviewed with her, just kind of giving her some context about the
You
Albuquerque
interviewed
market.
for the Albuquerque Journal and you haven't told me?
I did an interview with the reporter from the Albuquerque Journal about this story, which is
a story about a story?
they're doing a story about a story.
Okay, and
Yes.
they interviewed you. So when does your story come out?
That's very typical
in the
news.
journal?
I'm not sure. So what Zillow did is they went and they ranked, and with this story, the headline is Top Cities for
Recent college graduates.
Recent College Grads. Exactly.
So recent college graduates. So do you know that when I worked at Intel Tego, my title was, I was hiring.
I knew what your title
I was doing recent college graduate recruiting and hiring. Okay, so tell us, Austin, Texas, number 1.
Austin was number 1. Albuquerque was number 2, and we were number 2 last year as well. And then it's Dallas, San Antonio, Charlotte. I've got the methodology up on the screen here, but I'll just tell you what it was. Basically, they're looking at rent affordability, rent concessions of the properties that are for rent, how many are offering concessions.
Such as a free month's rent or free parking to get you to move in?
And then recent graduate income. So they took Bureau of Labor Statistics data, basically who's got the best incomes, and then the number of job openings, and then also the share of 20-somethings that live in the area. And so Albuquerque came up pretty high. And I thought, gosh, if they put weather in there as well and the availability of outdoor activities and outdoor stuff, we'd definitely be on the top of the list.
Well, we're number 2. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good for recent college graduates.
So that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Let's just take a quick look, Tracy, at the...
Let me guess. Statistics? Are we going to do some July stats?
Yeah. If you go to our website, so I've got it up on the screen here. It's at Welcome Home ABQ. And under Market Update, under Market, you've got Monthly Update. And every month, at the beginning of the month, this resets, and it tells us what sales activity have been, what prices have been doing. And I don't know if there's any specific questions you have about what's going on, but I'll tell you what I'm seeing is, the number of sales, it's pretty flat. It's actually down from last July.
Very consistent with 2 years ago, though.
Yeah, exactly. And we're just comparing this recent month, July 25 to July of 24. The number of homes on the market is now higher than we've seen in quite a while. Well, it's the highest we've seen since 2020, but it's still lower than we had in 2019. And so at the end of July, on average, there are about 2,200 homes on the market at any given time, and what I'm starting to see is that starting to plateau for the year is the number of homes on the market. We're not seeing this flood of new listings. We're not seeing this big growth in supply.
It's interesting because we're also not seeing a big flood of foreclosures, which wasn't on your list, but okay.
Well, I just happened to look at that data this morning, and it's still almost all-time low.
Yeah.
New Mexico is on the kind of mid-range of all the states in the country. We're not the very lowest for delinquencies and foreclosures. We're not the very highest either. We're really like at national average, which is very low historic-wise. So there's not a lot of homeowners that are in stress that are having to either not make payments or end up in foreclosure. It's very, very, very few as a percentage. The homes under contract, also, Tracy, very low. The number of new listings is basically equal with last year. And month supply of inventory, which is this is that one that kind of takes both supply versus demand and gives you this ratio. And right now we're at 2.7 months supply, which means if no more homes come on the market and the same number of homes sell, 2.7 months. That's still considered a seller's market. But you can look by this chart, Tracy, that if we get under 300,000, it's like 1 month supply.
Right.
But if we get over 600,000, it's closer to 5 months supply.
Right.
And as you know, every home is different, every neighborhood is different, every condition is different, yada, 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 right? I talk about it all the time. So, you got to, I generally report on big picture, not exactly what's happening in a specific neighborhood or specific house, right?
Yeah.
Days on market, I had somebody at an event I was at, and they wanted to chat with me because they know I'm always looking at the market data, and said, well, days on market's really up there. I said, well, actually, days on market is back to normal 2019 levels. So of the homes that sold in July, it was 33 days was
Very
average days on market. Yeah, very, very,
respectable.
very common.
Tego, it's interesting. This is not related to what you said, but it used to be on our radio show and podcast years ago, we talked about the 2008 market crash. Everything was related to from that date forward, we would talk about it. Now we're talking about from COVID forward.
It's true.
So it's sort of like 2019 is the new 2008 for us.
That's a good, it's true. And I mean, you look at some of those stats from 2008, number of homes on the market, number of homes that were delinquent or in foreclosure. I mean, it's night and day. Not anybody that says, oh, it's 2009 all over again or 2008 all over again. It's just that they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You can stop listening to them. So just one last thing on prices, Tracy. Prices have gone up a little bit over the last year. Like I've been saying, it's somewhere around 2% appreciation is what we're seeing across all price ranges. But, it depends on, again, the home, the condition, the price point. Higher end homes, maybe not quite as much, or, seen very little appreciation. Kind of mid-range, good condition homes are probably seeing more appreciation. So it's very dependent there.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this post I did the other day, Tracy, on Facebook, where I was looking at a couple different indicators that I'm always looking at. One of them is the number of homes that have reduced price. And if we look at the data, it says that 49% of the homes that are currently active on the market in the Albuquerque area have reduced price at least once. That's an all-time high.
That's a big percentage.
That is 50% of the homes.
Yep.
So if you take that in a vacuum, you go, oh my gosh, prices are falling.
Right. I know where this is going.
Right. It means list prices are falling.
Right.
Which is different than
Sale
prices.
prices.
Right. And so what I was like going, okay, well, where do we stand? And then, so what I said is, okay, 49% have had price reductions, but yet at the same time, if we look at the homes that are in pending status, meaning under contract to sell, and we look at what their average price is and median price was a year ago versus today, we're up, from like price per square foot, we're $220 this year versus $211 last year. So whatever that is, 4%, something like that. Median price is up as well. So they're two different things, right?
Right.
So list price versus sale price, very different. The other thing is the days on market. We just talked about the average days on market homes that sold was 33 days. And at the same time, we've got homes that were unsold or not sold yet. The average days on market is 83. So we have this disconnect between the good homes that are priced to the market. They seem to be, selling relatively quick versus this other group of homes that may not be in the right price that are not selling right now.
So of those that are unsold, averaging 83 days on market, some of them might just come off the market and wait to sell at another time and not enter the statistics of sold to
Correct.
push that. Yeah.
Correct. And somebody asked me, and I've got to get the data, is how many homes are coming off the market and not going back on? That's a very difficult statistic to pull.
That's one you should not spend time
I know,
on.
yeah.
That would take away from a lot of other things.
That's a fair market. Anyway, my takeaway on this, and I don't know if you like this point or not, and it's my thought was it's not a market correction, it's a pricing strategy correction, or it's time to look at pricing strategy and just understand that depending on where you are, there might be a lot of competition. But again, it's neighborhood specific, right? I was talking to one of our title people that does realtor tours, talking about a certain part of town I'm not going to mention. And there's a lot of homes in that particular area in the same price range, very similar homes.
That are taking time to get sold.
They're just, because there's a lot of competition. So it's very, very neighborhood property specific.
Right.
I always want to point out. So, yeah.
Okay.
Any other tips and tricks this week?
But some really great properties hit the market this week. So if you're thinking of making a move, give us a call. Let's sit down. Let's do a strategy on your home buying needs. And if you need to want to sell, let's talk early. Get you in line. We've actually got a few appointments. I have 2 next week, Tego, of people who want to sell next spring, and they're asking me, what should I be doing now to get ready?
That's so wise.
Yeah, so they're not stretched. So be good.
No, that's wise.
Plus, we have one that's going on the market in January or February, so we're doing the photos now while the yard is beautiful, so that come January or February, we'll have the outdoor photos ready to go. So if you're thinking that you're going to be selling when the winter is here, call us now and maybe we can get you the photos now so they'll look great.
Awesome. If you want to connect with us, we're the Venturi Group at Real Broker 505-448-8888 or our website welcomehomeabq.com.
Till next time.
Take care.